You wouldn't think that they would spend so much time on the construction techniques because it is a film costume and nobody would see, the inside, but that's not the case with this costume or any of the Mirror Mirror costumes. They're exquisitely made. They've used the best fabrics available. The wedding dress is completely made of silk. Even the sleeves, which are a different type of fabric, it's a silk organza. The costume is actually made up of a multitude of petal sizes. As you can see here, this is the largest petal that's been used in the construction of the dress. The bodice is made from similar petals, but they're quite small, all stitched together. And then you've got that lovely shoulder trim, which is with a slightly larger petal. Here we have petals again, and these tentacles have crystals hanging from the ends. My name is Michael Morendi. I'm the textile conservator at Quag Gomar. My duties include checking new acquisitions when they come into the gallery and making suggestions for future storage and also for future display. According to my parents, my interest in textiles occurred when I was a little toddler. My mother was a professionally trained dressmaker and tailoress, and apparently I used to sit next to her and collect all the fabric scraps and the pins that used to fall on the floor and pin the fabric scraps together and make little clothes out of them. The most challenging costume to prepare for the exhibition, of course, was the wedding dress because it was so large and so heavy. And unfortunately, the original hooped petticoat and the soft net petticoats that were used in the film had not survived. And so we had to completely remake both the hoops and the soft petticoat that went over the top of the hoops. The first thing we need to do is just to even out all the gathers around the waist and make sure that the side seam. This costume is enormous. It had taken 70 metres of Duchess silk satin to make it because it's all cut on the bias. And 70 metres of silk Duchess satin weighs a lot. So you needed quite a strong structure to go under that. When Julia Roberts wore the costume in the film, the costume makers actually had a strong metal structure made that was inserted at the top of the hoop petticoat to stop the hoop petticoat from actually collapsing. The hoop petticoat that we made is purely for exhibition purposes. If this costume was to be reused in a film, that hoop petticoat wouldn't support the actress to walk in it because it would totally collapse. I saw an interview with the designer and she talked about combining, period costume design with the Japanese design. She chose basically two periods, the Elizabethan period where they wore under the big skirts a hooped petticoat which was known as the Spanish farthingale. The other period that she borrowed from was from the early 18th century, and this is when women wore what they called panniers. And the designer didn't do replicas or even reproductions. She reinterpreted the shapes. My favourite costume in the exhibition is the wedding dress, probably because I spent 2 months working on the underpinnings, and then when it arrived, I was dedicated to it. It's actually really beautifully made. The attention to detail, the beading and the little sequins and the crystals that are very carefully stitched to them were done with absolute dedication. And it's just a beautiful dress. It's a really beautiful, exquisite dress to look at, and I'm sure it would have been fun to wear.